Islam Makhachev recently responded to Dricus Du Plessis' comments about his plan to move up to middleweight. As the current UFC lightweight champion, Islam has said he doesn't want to leave MMA without earning a double champ title. He's hesitant about jumping to welterweight because his friend and training partner, Belal Muhammad, is the reigning champ. So, Islam's been eyeing a move to middleweight instead. Dricus responded by saying that while it's good that Islam is trying, a fight between them wouldn't make sense right now. He mentioned that if the time comes when there's no one else for him to face, he'd be open to it. Dricus acknowledged that Islam trains with bigger fighters but emphasized that there's only one champion in the division. He also believes he would overpower Islam, noting that while Islam walks around heavy, he's still a big lightweight, whereas Dricus is a big middleweight, and there's a big difference in their sizes. Islam disagrees with Dricus. He believes his height and physical build give him a good shot at middleweight. Islam thinks with some time to work with his specialists, add muscle, and put on some weight, he could succeed. He added that if the UFC offered him a middleweight fight, he would accept it without hesitation. Islam isn't claiming he'd easily beat Dricus, but after watching his fights, he feels confident he knows how to handle his style. In other news, Chris Weidman has signed with the GFL, Global Fight League, despite announcing his retirement earlier this month. Fans were puzzled by the news, especially since Weidman, 40, was recently TKO'd in the second round by Eric Anders at UFC 310. Weidman has only won 3 of his last 11 fights.
Guys, I'm hanging up the gloves in the UFC. I'm no longer going to be fighting for the organization that, like changed my life in so many ways. And I'm just super appreciative, to everybody who got.
Chris Weidman recently cleared up the confusion surrounding his return to the fight scene. He explained why he decided to sign with the GFL despite announcing his retirement from the UFC earlier this month. Weidman admitted that after his retirement, he wasn't sure if he'd keep fighting. He was open to exploring other opportunities, but it had to be something special. The GFL, he said, offered him the chance to compete against familiar faces, fighters like Luke Rockhold, Gegard Mousasi, and Uriah Hall, with whom he shares a lot of history. Weidman shared that Rockhold was his first loss in the UFC, and they'd talked about a rematch several times, but it never happened. He's still keen on facing Rockhold. Then there's Uriah Hall, who broke Weidman's leg in their fight. Despite that, Weidman respects him, and they've fought twice already. With these older fighters, Weidman sees an exciting opportunity to compete and make good money. He couldn't pass it up. As for Israel Adesanya, he's focused on dominating his upcoming fight at UFC Saudi Arabia, not on avoiding another loss. Adesanya is coming off 2 losses. First, a unanimous decision to Sean Strickland in September 2023, followed by a 4th-round submission loss to Dricus Du Plessis last August. However, heading into his fight against Nazarene Imol this weekend, Adesanya insists that he's not dwelling on the idea of losing. Reflecting on his previous battles, particularly against Alex Pereira, Adesanya said his mindset going into their 4th fight was not about avoiding defeat, but about the determination to win. He pointed out that thinking I can't lose puts you in the wrong mindset and could actually lead to losing. Adesanya emphasized that he always trains with the I have to win mentality, and that's how he'll approach his next fight. He doesn't feel too much pressure for this fight, despite it being 5 rounds. Though there's no title on the line, fighting him still feels like a title fight for his opponents. For Adesanya, the focus remains on continuing to win, and the belt will come back around when the time is right. Lastly, Tom Aspinall is facing some online criticism after a TikTok video he posted explaining why he doesn't like doing face-offs. Aspinall admitted he doesn't enjoy face-offs, even with his opponents, let alone with fans. However, fans quickly pointed out the irony when Aspinall approached John Jones for a face-off during a recent encounter, leading to plenty of comments calling him out for the contradiction.
All the best.
Do a quick picture.
Sure.
Yeah?
Let's get it.
A face-off.
No,
Okay. No problem.
What are your thoughts for face-off?
So I get asked a lot by fans to do face-offs. Fans love doing face-offs with UFC fighters. It's not my thing. I don't like doing face-offs. I don't even like doing face-offs with the guy I'm fighting, really. It's a little bit weird just looking in a guy's eyes for 30 seconds, not saying anything. So, not really my scene, to be honest with you. I don't mind it right before we fight, if we're in the octagon. Do a face-off then, but the day before, the week of the fight, with a random person on the street who's a fan. So any fans out there who want to do a face-off, I will say no.
What's going through your head though with a fighter? Do you ever feel like someone's getting the best of you? Or
No, do you know what? I don't even look into it too much, Sometimes I've looked at people and I think, they look really nervous. But sometimes being really nervous can help you. So if someone's really nervous, I'm not underestimating them, thinking, oh, they look nervous, they look scared or whatever, because sometimes that is an advantage to them. So I don't really look into it too much.
Mike Perry recently shared who he's hoping to fight next, and his call-out of Robbie Lawler has sparked some controversy. Perry suggested a matchup with Lawler in BKFC, but many fans weren't happy with the idea, given that Robbie is now 42 years old. Lawler retired from the UFC after a big first-round KO win over Nico Price in July 2023. On Jake Shields' podcast, Perry also mentioned the possibility of fighting Dillon Danis, who recently signed with the GFL. Perry seems interested in facing off with Danis, adding another potential big matchup to his list.
You know, Bare Knuckles trying to make the Robbie Lawler fight.
That'd be good.
I know that the paycheck is definitely looking good if they're offering it to Robbie, trying to get him to fight me. I think he's a very dangerous character, especially by the way he's playing. Like, people aren't sure if he would even want to, or, you know, they're saying leave him alone, he's retired, this and that. Like, Robbie's dangerous.
He's not that old. He's still dangerous. Yeah, people are babies, you know.
I've been talking with Dillon Danis in the DMs about he wants to have an MMA fight. Nobody will MMA fight.
You'll whip that. You'll whip his.
I'm telling Mams Taylor, let's make the MMA fight, and they're trying to say that they had offered it, this and that, but it would have been the time. First of all, one, they didn't have a date. Two, it was during the Jake Paul. I took the Jake Paul fight. That money was guaranteed. The date was there. I stepped in for Mike Tyson, and I had 6 rounds with Jake Paul, you know, and you know, while I'm doing the experience stuff, Dillon Danis ain't fighting nobody or doing nothing. So, you know, that's something I told Nate Diaz, set up me and Dillon Danis in Real Fight Inc.
Yeah, that would sell too, because he used to be a really good grappler. He was a top-notch grappler, but he's not anymore. He's fallen off. He's all just like talking hype. He's not what he used to be. I think you would crush him.
Alex Pereira and his coach, Plinio Cruz, are gearing up for UFC 313, with footage of their training sessions being shared online. They're preparing to face Magomed Ankalaev, and Cruz posted some of their intense preparation for fans to see. Meanwhile, Robert Whittaker has weighed in on the upcoming fight between Israel Adesanya and Nasruddin Imavov. Adesanya is coming off a tough 4th-round submission loss to Dricus Du Plessis in August, but Whittaker believes Izzy looked great in that fight. He thinks if the same version of Adesanya shows up this weekend, it'll be a strong night for him. You can hear Whittaker's full breakdown on the latest episode of the MMA Arcade podcast, link in the description. Khamzat Chimaev is confident that he will become a UFC champion this year. Dana White recently mentioned that Chimaev will likely face the winner of Dricus Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland.
So hard for me to bet against Adesanya in just about any matchup. I think his spacing, his control of the space, the way he utilizes his counters, his aggressive fighting, his pressure with his length, his feints, make him very hard to take down. And if you're not taking him down, you're having like a long night in the office, okay? Now, understandably, he lost against Dricus last fight, but I think he turned up phenomenally for that fight. I think his striking was on point, crystal clear. Dricus is as tough as shit, dude. Like, yeah, man, he's tough as hell. Okay, and honestly, in the round that he beat Izzy in, I thought he was going to die at the beginning of it. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a special dude, man. He's got such a unique style. So I don't think it's too much of a negative for Adesanya. If we see that Adesanya turn up against Imavov, I think we see a very it's going to be a good night for him. Yeah.
Khamzat Chimaev took to X today, confidently stating, "In 2025, I will take this belt, inshallah, and no one can stop it." While the UFC has yet to officially announce the UFC 314 main event, Bo Nickel claims he has inside knowledge that Ilia Topuria will rematch Alexander Volkanovski at the event in April. Topuria won the featherweight title from Volkanovski.
Pay-per-view, UFC 312. Where does Khamzat Chimaev fit into the middleweight division? Do you think he'll get the winner of Strickland Du Plessis, or is he going to fight again before a title shot?
Yeah, I think he probably gets the next shot.
In February with a second-round knockout. Recently, he hinted at vacating the belt to move up to lightweight, possibly facing Charles Oliveira in his debut at 155 pounds. He admitted that cutting to 145 has been tough, but it now appears he'll defend his title once more. Meanwhile, Bo Nickel also expressed interest in fighting on the UFC 314 card, revealing this on a recent episode of his podcast.
They just announced Ilya and Volk.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's dope.
UFC 3...
When?
April 314, I think.
No, not third. I'm thinking of Islam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ilya and Volk, or Ilya and Islam would be sick.
Yeah.
I don't know about Ilya and Volk rematch. I mean, I get it. Volk had to rematch Holloway a bunch of times.
That was a clean knockout, though.
She knocked him out clean. Bad. I think I love Volk. He's great. I don't see a path to victory then for him, really.
I don't know if that was announced.
No, it's official. I know for a fact. I don't know that it was announced for a fact, but I know it's happening for a fact.
Inside source.
It's been announced.
I'm announcing it.
I like Volk. I like.
He's great. He's the man. Yeah. That could. I might fight on that card. That's the card I'm trying to fight on.
Nice.
Yeah, April, Miami.
Sick.